Hey everybody, it's Lightning here, and today I'm going to be going over every single piece of gear that I just took on my most recent Colorado Trail through hike, so stay tuned. Alright, so let's jump right into it. Starting with my backpack. This is probably one of my favorite pieces of gear. This is a Hyperlite 3400 Southwest. Awesome backpack. It's made of Cuban fiber, or Dyneema, so it's completely waterproof. Roll top closure. I mean, you could pack this thing up to probably 40 pounds or so. Everything in my base weight is right around 9.8, probably closer to right around the 10 mark because I added another piece of clothing. But yeah, backpack super awesome, super durable. There's other options out there. Hyperlite's towards the more expensive end of the spectrum, but I got this last year, and this was the first trail that I took it on, and I really loved it. It's been super awesome, rode really good, fit really well, and my favorite part, yeah, was the waterproofness, that you don't have to put on a pack cover, and everything is completely dry on the inside. I would chuck this in a lake and trust that everything comes out dry. It was that good. So I guess we'll just start on the outside of the pack and kind of go through it, I guess. Rain jacket, I used an Outdoor Research Helium 2, and I'll include links to all the products in the description that you guys can go check them out. I think it weighs about 6.4 ounces in a large. This is a medium, so it's probably just under 6 ounces. Super good rain jacket. I have no problems with it. Some people swore, you know, it doesn't breathe well. Yeah, I mean, it's a laminated rain jacket there's no like pit zips or anything on it, so yeah, it's not going to breathe that well. I thought it was great. I would throw it on in the morning, sort of a wind layer, or just to keep a little heat in to get going in the morning. And I use this jacket probably more than every other piece of gear, just like I said, to throw on to get some warmth going in the morning. And it was very waterproof, no complaints there. It was a great rain jacket. I did carry rain pants. Didn't really use them as far as like the rain goes. If it was raining, I pretty much just walked in shorts. Didn't worry about my legs getting wet, but these were nice to have when it was super windy on a couple of the ridges, or there was hail coming down and your legs are wet, and yeah, legs would just get super red from all the wind and everything. So these were nice to put on to kind of keep some heat into your lower half. These are Z-Packs Cuban fiber rain pants. I'm not even sure that they make these anymore. I picked these up on the Appalachian Trail last year from a guy, and they weigh, I don't know, maybe a couple ounces or something. So these are also really light, and they're worth carrying for the times that you might want to use them. One of the kind of, I don't know, more unique pieces of gear that I don't see a lot of people do, but I would recommend it 100%, this is actually just like a car chamois. I think you get it at Walmart. I cut it in half because you don't need the whole thing, but it's like a sponge cloth type material, super absorbent. I would use it in the mornings if my tent had got rained on the night before. And you don't want to carry around that extra weight of water just sitting on your tent, so I would just run this over it real quick, wring it out a few times, and I mean, it pulls almost all the water off of it. And then dual use, you get to a hostel, don't want to rent or buy a towel to take a shower with. Use this to dry yourself off after a shower. Works super good, pulls all the water off, weighs like a piece of paper. It's nothing. And I would just roll up my tent stakes in that for my tent, which is a Gossamer gear, the 1. I'll get to that in just a minute. I carried 4. These are homemade stakes made from actual like a coat hanger. They're probably the lightest stakes you could possibly have in your bag. Carry 4 of those for the bathtub floor, which you don't really have to stake out, but I would do most times. And then 6, these are titanium V-shaped stakes. I think they're cheap knockoff titanium ones I got on Amazon for probably $15 or something for 6 of them, but they're also really light, and I'd use that for the 6 stakeout points on the actual tent rather than the floor. Outside of the pack, I used smart water bottles. I carried 2 of the 1 liter size, and then 1 of the like 3/4 liter, 20 ounce. And that was plenty to get me everywhere on the Colorado Trail. There was never a time when, I think the longest stretch was probably 17 miles or no water, and I could fill up full capacity on that and be fine. For water filtrations, a lot of people swear by the Sawyer Squeeze. I tried it last year on the AT. was not all that impressed with it. I don't know, it was just kind of a hassle to kind of squeeze the bag and get filtered water into your bottles. So instead, I just use Aquamira. Super easy. It's 7 drops per liter. You wait 15 minutes and you're good to drink it. So I carry that in my left hip belt pocket, and then a small, cheap, like Walmart cheap pocket knife that really the only thing I'd use for is to like cut blocks of cheese or open a package. You don't need anything more than that at all, really. Right hip belt pocket, I just carry my cell phone or my GoPro camera, which is what I'm filming on now. And then on the outside of the bag, I carried bandana here. Bandana was nice to have to kind of like, you know, wipe sweat off your face or dry your tent, again, something like that. I got a spider on here. And then on this little spot, I would keep the flexible leg tripod thing for my camera, which I'm using now. Carried a Spot Gen 3. I would run it every day, do 30-minute check-in marks or whatever, and then morning and night I'd send a check-in message to my folks back home. And it's kind of cool to go back and look at the map of where you've been, so it's kind of a neat thing. I actually do kind of like carrying it. That's it for the outside of the bag. This probably won't take long because I didn't carry a whole lot of stuff this year, and like I said, the gear doesn't make a hiker necessarily, but I've seen people, you know, with 50, 60-pound packs walk just as fast, do just as many miles as somebody with like a day pack. So that's not necessarily what it is, but for me, I did like going ultralight this year, and this is all right around 10 pounds, I said. So this is my tent. I kept it on top usually. If it was wet, I might strap it to the outside. This is a Gossamer Gear the 1. I'll show a quick setup video now, what that looked like to set up and how much room you have with that. Awesome tent. Loved every single night sleeping in this thing. It kept me completely dry. Went through some hailstorms, thunderstorms, condensation. I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, you're going to have condensation with any kind of single wall tent like this, and this was awesome tent. It had enough room that we didn't have to worry about the condensation necessarily, like you're not brushing up against the walls, because there's enough room to spread out. 100% recommend that tent. I really like it. For a sleep pad, I used this is a Nemo Tensor Mummy 20R. So it's rated down to 20. It's insulated. I think it weighs 13 ounces or so. It's comparable, I would say, like probably the most comparable thing on the market to the e+LITE. What is it? The e+LITE? Yeah, the Thermarest NeoAir e+LITE. That's what I'm thinking of. It's pretty much the exact same thing, I would say. The baffles are a little bit different. You have more of like an eggshell pattern, which I think helps you. You stay on the pad a little better. Really comfortable. It's actually a little thicker than the NeoAir, so you have a little more loft to it. And like I never bottomed out on my hips or my shoulders or anything. Slept really good on this thing. Again, would recommend that. And it was like $40 cheaper than the NeoAir. Pretty much the same weight. Awesome pad. Go get it. I carried then my food bag, which is a Sea to Summit 20 liter, I think it is. Carried this the whole way on the AT. Lasted the whole way. Carried it again the whole way on the CT. Worked just fine. I didn't carry a stove this year. I went to stoveless on the Colorado Trail and didn't really miss the hot food all that much. I carried a rehydrate jar, aka an empty peanut butter jar, and then I just wrapped my bear line, which is like mason twine, around it, and that seemed to work just fine. And I would hang a bear bag most nights. On the Colorado Trail, it's kind of hard to find trees with good branches to do it though, so I was a little lazy with it every now and then, but for the most part I hung a bear bag probably, I don't know, 75% of the time. So rehydrate jar works just fine. Throw your ramen noodles, instant mashed potatoes, instant refried beans, whatever you want to rehydrate, throw in some water, let it soak for, 5 to 15 minutes, whatever it takes for what you're cooking, and yeah, eat up, it's fine. I carried I think this is it's a really cheap spork thing. I have a titanium one. This is even lighter, and I was like, I'll go with this. It's plastic. I think it's a Sea to Summit thing again. Works just fine, especially since I wasn't like eating out of a tall like rehydrated bag, which is that short jar. And then my I don't know, hygiene ditty bag, or I guess you'd call it. It's just some odds and ends. I got my toothbrush, chapstick, toothpaste, comb, nail clippers, and some Gold Bond. Yeah, that was pretty much my little hygiene bag or whatever I carry. And then as far as extra clothes, I wore shorts, like I said, I don't know, cheap running shorts, synthetic, and then a top. I wore an LL Bean long sleeve synthetic sun shirt, long sleeve t-shirt type thing. I don't have that in here, but you'll see it in some of the videos before. And then I carried this to sleep in. It's just a Nike. This is the thing I didn't add to my 9.8 pound base weight, so probably closer to 10 with this. It's just a quarter zip synthetic Nike running thing, and I would just throw this on to sleep in for a little bit extra warmth at night. A pair of synthetic, running leggings that I would sleep in these sometimes. A lot of times I just actually wad up my extra clothes and throw them into the bag and then wrap it in this, and then that was sort of my pillow. So that was really the only reason I carried these. Probably would not need to carry again on the Colorado Trail at least. And then I carried this, just a really thin button-up cotton shirt, and I wore this probably half the time too, and it was nice to have this and that other shirt to kind of switch between. But if I was going to do it again, I'd probably just get a long sleeve button-up shirt like this, so I'd have the sun protection and be able to take just the one shirt instead of both. But yeah, it was fine. A lot of people say, cotton kills. As long as you have a nice thin shirt of cotton, it dries really fast, probably just almost as fast as like a synthetic would. And yeah, I mean, it worked fine. I wouldn't like advise not carrying cotton. As long as you have something at the end of the night to change into that is guaranteed dry and going to keep you warm, then there's no reason like not to hike in cotton, I would say. And then I carried 2 pairs of socks. These are Darn Toughs, and these are Smart Wool toe socks that I actually picked up in Salida because a squirrel chewed my other Darn Tough socks. No, my other Smart Wool socks, so I had to get another pair. And the toe socks help to kind of like prevent some blisters on my pinky toes that I had coming along, because it separates your toes out and keeps them from rubbing together. And I carried that in a Sea to Summit 8-liter, Ultrasil dry bag. Like again, with the dry bag, you really don't need it with this backpack though. It's kind of overkill, but just to be on the safe side, it doesn't weigh much, and it adds just another extra layer of protection in case you need it. Oh yeah, and then I carried a really thin fleece beanie that I'd sleep in at night. As far as my electronics go, I carried them in this little waterproof dry bag thing. It weighs, I think, pretty much nothing. I got it with a tarp that I bought for my rainfly, or it was a rainfly tarp for my hammock that I bought last year, and it just was an extra bag that came with it. Carry a Lenmar 11,000 milliamp battery brick. Works fine. I carried an iPhone 5S, and I think I would get probably 6 full charges or close to it off of this brick. It's probably more than I actually need, but I carried it on the AT and seemed to work good, so I did it again. A micro USB cable, real short one, to charge the brick and the GoPro, which I'm filming with. I carried a dual port charger so I could charge, either the brick or the camera and my phone at the same time. Cheap dual port charger. I got it, I don't know, Target or something for like $5. And then like a really short iPhone charging cable that I'm not sure even where I got this, but I don't even know if you can find one this short, but it weighs way less than a full-size one. But that, and then my headlamp, which is a Petzl e+LITE. It's like 40, 50 lumens or something. Probably turned it on 3 times the entire trip. So I don't do any night hiking or being out at night where I need all that light. So this is plenty good for getting around camp, setting up your tent, getting up in the middle of the night. Great light. Weighs, it's probably the lightest headlamp you can get. And then the hands-free thing is really nice. And then last but not least, what I carried in just a trash bag in the bottom as, again, extra protection, because the one things you want to keep really dry, if they have to keep dry, is my down jacket. This is a heat keep. I think it's duck down, which is probably not as good as goose down. This is, again, not a nice down jacket. If I was going to buy one more nice piece of gear, I'd invest in a good down jacket, like a Mountain Hardwear or something. But this weighs maybe half a pound, maybe less. I don't even remember. I'll include my LighterPack link, and you can check out the weights of everything for entirely in my pack. But this is, again, just a cheap down jacket. It works pretty good though, and So no complaints there really. And then last but not least is my hammock gear Burrow 20, which is what I use as my quilt. It's not a sleeping bag, there's no zippers. You just, it's got a foot box and then you drape it over you, tuck it around in you like a quilt. And this is what I used on the Appalachian Trail last year in my hammock setup. And kept me really warm, and there's no reason, you know, a top quilt and a hammock can't work on the ground. It's just a down quilt. It's rated to 20, and it is got an ounce of overstuff. I think it's lost a little bit of its warmth since last year for sure. Down, I did wash it with down soap, but down, you know, over the years it's going to lose some of its warmth, and I can definitely notice it's not quite as warm as it used to be. It dipped below freezing a couple times on the Colorado Trail this year, and I woke up a couple times about 4:30, 5 in the morning when it's at its like absolute coldest. The sun's been down the longest, and was a little chilled, not like freezing to death cold, but like uncomfortable to kind of fall back asleep cold. But other than that, I mean, no complaints. I'm gonna carry this bag again on the PCT next year. Pretty much all this gear I was really happy with, the whole setup, right at about 10 pounds like I said, so I'm gonna probably be carrying, I'd say, almost exactly what I'm carrying here on the PCT next year. For a first aid kit, all I really carried, and I think all that you'd really need on any long distance trail, is a few band-aids in different sizes. I think there's 5 or 6 in there, some ibuprofen, Tums, and I think there's like one antiseptic alcohol pad wipe thing. That's about it. And then I carried a little thing of patches and glue for the inflatable pad in case it got a hole in it, which I never had to worry about, and a small mini Bic lighter, and that was it. It weighs very, very little, and I just keep this in the very bottom of my backpack in case I ever needed it. Luckily, I never had to even hardly pull it out, but that's all I carried as far as first aid and repair kit. For hiking poles, I carried, these are Black Diamond Alpine Corks, I think they're called. They're carbon fiber, super good lock systems on them. They really lock it down. They don't like shorten throughout the day. And then I would use these, I'd set them up to 125 centimeters to set up my tent at night. You know, they're hiking poles. I think they're comparable with a lot of things on the market, but been super happy with these. Carried them the whole way on the Appalachian Trail. They need new tips really bad now because I've never replaced them, so they're really worn down and jacked up. But other than that, put new tips on it, and these things are going to have thousands more miles that I'm going to be hiking with these for sure. That's it. That's the whole loadout. That's everything I carried on the Colorado Trail. So if you have any questions about the gear I carried or comments, you can leave them down below, and comment, like, subscribe, blah blah blah, all that YouTube nonsense, and I'll be uploading some more videos in the next coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. Other than that, I think lightning's out. Catch you guys later.